Pray to the guy upstairs that your truck does not explode.
Diesel Dave, the right-hand man of Heavy D and one of the most recognizable faces from Diesel Brothers, wasn't just another TV mechanic. He was a firebrand, a larger-than-life personality, known for his wild stunts, jaw-dropping monster trucks, and the booming Diesel Power Gear brand. Fans loved his laughter, his fearless drive, and the way he turned every challenge into a spectacle. But behind all that glory, something darker had been quietly creeping in, a warning that many saw but few truly paid attention to. This is the story of how we were cautioned about Diesel Dave, yet chose not to listen. Life after the Diesel Brothers show and the lawsuits.
Now that we've cut into the frame rails, there's no turning back. So that's the headlights, huh?
Yep, I can.
While most of us stayed quiet, others began to speak out. The Diesel Brothers finally put an end to their famous show. They confirmed the news in a 2023 statement released through the Spark Motors website, revealing that they plan to stop filming for television and return to their roots, creating content on their own once again. By June 2025, however, AutoGuide reported that the Diesel Brothers had already shifted gears toward a brand new project called Scrapyard Kings. This fresh show pits multiple teams against each other in do-it-yourself challenges, building machines from salvaged parts. It carries the same spirit as the legendary Junkyard Wars, raw, creative, and competitive. The participants are split into 3 teams, each given the mission to design vehicles for 3 ultimate tests: land, air, and water. To begin, every team gets a budget to purchase a base car. From there, they head into junkyards to scavenge whatever useful parts they can find, transforming those scraps into powerful, customized machines. Once gathered, they return to their home bases and build their mechanical beasts from the ground up. Each episode now premieres on Heavy D's YouTube channel, which has grown to over 4,038,000 subscribers. Most episodes drop on Saturdays, and although some fans approached it with skepticism, there was still a sense of hope that the Diesel Brothers could reinvent themselves. This time, Diesel Dave and his longtime partner built something exciting and entirely within the boundaries of the law. Even after all the warnings, we still didn't listen.
College football player, and then he got a PhD in cellular molecular biochemistry.
From the very beginning, Diesel Dave Kiley stood out as more than just a mechanic obsessed with giant trucks. He became the face of the Diesel Brothers, the man with the infectious laugh, the quick jokes, and the energy that made fans feel like they were part of the crew. But behind that laughter was a relentless worker, pushing the Diesel Brothers brand harder than anyone ever expected. And as his fame grew, so did the risks surrounding him. The first major blow came in the form of an environmental lawsuit, one that would test everything they stood for. Regulators argued that the trucks showcased on Diesel Brothers weren't just creative builds, they were technically illegal for public roads. Both state and federal agencies claimed that modifications like rolling coal pipes and emissions deletions violated clean air laws. What fans viewed as wild fun, the authorities saw as serious offenses. That lawsuit became historic, the first time private individuals had successfully challenged TV personalities under environmental law. It cast a shadow over Diesel Dave and his crew, portraying them as defiant rule breakers who ignored previous warnings. Questions began to echo. Did the Diesel Brothers truly understand the damage their builds caused? Or did they simply choose not to care? While many fans believed the lawsuit was government overreach, the courts saw things differently. The verdict placed enormous financial and legal pressure on the brothers, and before they could recover, another legal storm arrived. This time, the world-famous fashion brand Diesel filed a trademark case against Diesel Power Gear, accusing them of riding on their established name. What seemed like a simple branding issue quickly turned into a debate about ethics, originality, and fair play. In the end, the court ruled in favor of the clothing company, ordering Diesel Dave's business to pay a heavy damages bill. one that not even his sense of humor could ease. One lawsuit might have been an accident. Two made fans wonder if it was something deeper, maybe even intentional. Still, what kept their loyal audience from walking away was Dave himself. Far from the noise of the courtroom, he revealed the side fans adored the most, the devoted husband and father who valued his family over fame. When pressure mounted, he leaned on laughter as his defense. The man who made millions laugh on television used the same humor to hold himself together while paying millions in fines. The warnings had always been there, from environmentalists, from lawyers, from critics. They all said Diesel Dave's empire might not survive. But fans refused to see him as a villain. To them, he was a symbol of rebellion, of freedom, of grit. Because sometimes surviving the hardest blows isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about facing them head-on, with a smile. And that's exactly what Diesel Dave did. He laughed, he rebuilt, and he kept moving forward, no matter how rough the road ahead looked. The trademark war.
Campsite. So what happened then was the other individuals in the video.
As if the burden of the UPHE environmental lawsuit wasn't heavy enough, the Diesel brothers, co-owned by David Kiley and David Sparks, found themselves dragged into yet another courtroom drama. This time, it wasn't about emissions or modified trucks. It was about something more silent but just as dangerous: intellectual property. Their company, Diesel Power Gear, served as the apparel branch of the Diesel brothers' empire. But in 2017, the Italian fashion powerhouse Diesel SPA, world famous for its denim and lifestyle products, filed a trademark infringement case against Diesel Power Gear in the Southern District of New York. The fashion company argued that the Utah-based Diesel Power Gear's use of the word diesel in its name created massive brand confusion, especially among consumers who might assume the two brands were connected. According to Diesel SPA, the Diesel brothers intentionally chose that name to make their apparel seem affiliated with or endorsed by the iconic Italian label. Diesel SPA pointed out that Diesel had been a protected and globally recognized trademark since the 1970s. The United States Patent and Trademark Office had even sided with the fashion giant, rejecting Diesel Power Gear's trademark applications once the dispute began. Still, the Diesel brothers persisted in using the name, and the court later classified this as willful infringement. After years of back-and-forth litigation, on October 24, 2022, Judge Jennifer Rochon of the U.S. District Court ruled in favor of Diesel SPA, confirming that Diesel Power Gear had indeed violated the trademark. What remained unresolved, however, was the final settlement amount. The fashion company demanded $59,100,000, arguing that Diesel Power Gear had failed to prove any legitimate deductions or expenses. The Diesel brothers countered, saying their profits were much smaller and that all business expenses needed to be subtracted before any calculation. By May 2023, the court reached its conclusion. It ruled that awarding Diesel SPA the full amount would be excessive, and instead reduced the damages by 80%. In the end, Diesel Power Gear was ordered to pay $11,800,000 in compensation. Though much less than the original claim, it was still a staggering figure to swallow. For fans, that judgment said one thing loud and clear. Once again, the Diesel brothers had ignored early warnings and crossed a line. Their refusal to heed boundaries came back to haunt them. Those who had stood by them through every storm now began questioning their credibility. Two major lawsuits in a short span painted an image of recklessness, not rebellion. And for Diesel Dave, the damage went even deeper. Known for his humor, warmth, and family-first personality, this legal defeat eroded much of the trust and light-hearted charm that once defined him. The laughter still existed, but it no longer carried the same innocence. The fallout from the legal storm.
Yes, those are for us. Okay, event champion. So this one.
After the court's environmental ruling in March 2020, the consequences reached far beyond the Diesel brothers' garage. As national outlets picked up the story, headlines spread fast. The Diesel brothers had been fined over $851,000 for breaching clean air regulations. This verdict sparked fierce debate. Environmental advocates accused them of glorifying truck modifications that worsened pollution, particularly in Salt Lake City, where air quality was already poor. The Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment argued that their behavior encouraged repetitive emissions violations, worsening the levels of particulate matter and nitrogen oxides, both dangerous to public health. Despite the controversy, Discovery Channel remained silent. They neither canceled the show nor publicly defended it. Still, the once family-friendly image of the Diesel brothers took a hit. Fans began reading deeper meanings into their jokes, struggling to separate the lawsuit-plagued figures from the entertainers they once loved. Constantly in the public eye, Diesel Dave and Heavy D found themselves defending their names, often using social media as their main platform. Their legal team fought hard, portraying them not as criminals, but as creative innovators misunderstood by the system. They insisted that many of the modified trucks featured on the show were concept vehicles intended for off-road use, not public streets. They also emphasized that the brothers had sincerely believed their work was legal and had even offered to help mitigate emissions issues. But instead of fading away under pressure, the Diesel brothers did the opposite. They showed up louder than ever. Throughout 2022, Discovery Channel continued airing new episodes, while Diesel Dave and Heavy D stayed active on YouTube and Facebook, posting stunts, custom builds, and of course, their famous truck giveaways. Their online presence kept their fan base alive, but opinions were divided. Environmental groups blasted them for inspiring illegal modifications, arguing that celebrity influence was normalizing harmful practices. Yet countless fans stood by their heroes, convinced they were being unfairly targeted by the system. In truth, the brothers' endless giveaways may have been the key to maintaining loyalty. No one can say for sure. For Diesel Dave, though, something had changed within. The man once seen as a carefree family entertainer seemed quieter, more grounded. He leaned into the one thing that never betrayed him: family. His social media filled with moments of his children, pets, and playful pranks. Small glimpses of peace amid chaos. This wasn't just about keeping fans engaged. It was about rebuilding trust, one laugh at a time, while reminding the world that beneath the lawsuits and the headlines, Diesel Dave was still human. The gentle warning that exploded into a legal storm.
Mambo number 5.
While the Diesel brothers were busy doing what they did best, building monstrous trucks and entertaining millions, a quiet storm was brewing in the background. Their outrageous modifications might have thrilled fans, but for others, it was an environmental nightmare unfolding in Utah's backyard. The Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, UPHE, were watching closely, growing alarmed at how every cool alteration released harmful emissions into the air. And so, they decided to act. The first official warning came on July 27, 2016, when UPHE sent a formal letter to the Diesel brothers, dieselsellers.com, and Diesel Power Gear. The message was clear. Their modifications violated federal environmental laws. But instead of slowing down, the Diesel brothers ignored it completely. Just a few months later, on October 3, 2016, another letter followed, this time through the Reed Czar law firm, listing even more violations under Utah's State Implementation Plan, a crucial law designed to protect the environment. The letters highlighted serious concerns: removing pollution control systems, installing and selling defeat devices to bypass emissions, and selling trucks that no longer met air quality standards. Still, the Diesel brothers didn't stop. In fact, they doubled down, showing off even wilder builds on social media and television. Their defiance left UPHE with no choice but to take things further. On January 10, 2017, UPHE officially filed a citizen lawsuit under the Clean Air Act against the Diesel brothers, Heavy D, David Sparks, Diesel Dave, Dave Kiley, The Muscle, Keaton Hopkins, and Weirdbeard, Josh Stewart, along with their associated companies. The group claimed that the Diesel brothers had been warned more than 60 days earlier, but continued to flout the law. In response, the Diesel brothers argued that their builds were intended for off-road or competition use only, which they believed exempted them from emission restrictions. But UPHE wasn't buying it. They presented evidence showing that many of those modified trucks were being driven on Utah's public roads, worsening pollution in the Wasatch Front region. Because the Diesel brothers were TV stars with a massive fan base, their case drew more attention than any other similar lawsuit UPHE had filed. The legal battle dragged on for years, both sides bringing expert witnesses to court. UPHE, however, had a strong weapon: the Diesel brothers' own videos and social media posts. Those clips showed them openly tampering with emission systems on street-legal vehicles. As the lawsuit began affecting their business, Heavy D took to Instagram, posting an emotional update. "A federal judge stopped our massive garage sales, but justice prevailed, and we're back in business. We're selling everything. It's the end of an era and the start of a brand new one for me." But that optimism didn't last long. In March 2020, U.S. District Judge Robert Shelby ruled against the Diesel brothers, declaring they had violated the Clean Air Act and Utah state laws by tampering with emission controls on at least 31 diesel trucks. UPHE had officially won. And it wasn't just a victory over the Diesel brothers, but a symbolic win for environmental activists everywhere. As UPHE President Brian Moench stated, "This is a victory for public health, for the rule of law, and for every citizen's right to breathe clean air." The verdict came with crushing financial penalties. The Diesel brothers and their companies were ordered to pay over $848,000 in total fines and legal costs, $161,451 in federal fines, and $90,000 toward local environmental programs, including the Tampered Diesel Truck Restoration Program in Davis County. Judge Shelby didn't mince words, calling their actions flagrant misconduct. He pointed out that a tampered diesel truck released 36 times more nitrogen oxides and 20 times more particulate matter than a compliant one. He also issued a permanent injunction banning the Diesel brothers from removing or selling vehicles without proper emission systems, warning that any future violation could result in contempt of court. The financial hit was devastating. The Diesel brothers appealed the verdict, but in late 2021, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the lower court's decision, stating that UPHE had every right to sue under the Clean Air Act. They called the punishment proportionate to the crime, reaffirming that fame or business success didn't place anyone above the law. Still, the brothers didn't give up. In 2024, they managed to win a $225,000 reduction in their penalties. But even with that small victory, their reputation had taken a major blow. The once celebrated diesel sellers' empire was forever changed, and the brothers learned the hard way that sometimes the smoke from your own exhaust can come back to choke you. Diesel Dave Kiley's journey to stardom. Diesel Dave, whose real name is David Kiley, came into the world on June 17th, though the exact year remains a topic of debate. Some claim he was born in 1974, while others insist it was 1984. Even his birthplace is uncertain. Some sources point to an Air Force base in Lubbock, Texas, while others claim Farmington. Those who believe he was born in Texas also mention that his family later settled in Utah, a move that would eventually shape his destiny. Coming from a long line of military men, Dave's admiration for the armed forces was almost instinctive. His great-grandfather served in the First and Second World Wars, while his father was in the Air Force and fought as a mortarman in the 90th Infantry during World War II. Inspired by that heritage, Dave once tried to join the military himself, but was turned down due to a shoulder problem. His younger brother went on to serve in the Marines, something Dave often describes as a constant reminder of discipline, sacrifice, and honor, values that deeply influenced his life. But if Dave couldn't serve his country through the military, He'd serve it in his own way, through engines, grit, and innovation. His love for trucks began early, and he was obsessed with learning new ways to modify and rebuild them. Then fate intervened in the most unexpected place, a singles gathering at a Mormon church in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where Dave met Dave Sparks, better known today as Heavy D. Both men attended hoping to meet a life partner who shared their Mormon faith. Instead, they found something different, a lifelong partnership that would change their lives forever. Their friendship truly began when Heavy D invited Diesel Dave to hang out with friends at a nearby lake. On their way there, Sparks accidentally filled Dave's truck with gasoline instead of diesel. That mistake forced them to spend hours draining the tank. And in that moment, conversation flowed naturally. They talked about their ambitions and realized they shared the same dream: to open a diesel-focused auto shop that would serve pickup trucks, SUVs, and 4x4s across Utah. That dream took shape in 2008 when they co-founded Diesel Sellers. The business focused on building and selling high-performance diesel trucks, complete with powerful upgrades and striking designs. At first, their customer base grew slowly, relying on word of mouth and small classifieds. But soon, they discovered the gold mine that was social media. They began uploading behind-the-scenes videos, before and after transformations, and clips of their builds in action. Those videos went viral, first on YouTube and Facebook, then across mainstream media, especially after they launched their famous truck giveaways. Fans could enter the giveaway by purchasing Diesel Sellers merchandise or truck parts worth $5 or more. The winner would walk away with a fully customized diesel truck, designed and built by the brothers themselves. The campaign not only boosted sales, but also created a loyal community around the brand. Their growing popularity caught the attention of Jay Leno, who invited them to appear on The Tonight Show after watching one of their viral videos. That appearance opened major doors. Soon after, the Discovery Channel came calling. At first, the Diesel brothers thought the calls were scams, but after 2 years of back and forth, they finally signed a deal. On January 4, 2016, Diesel Brothers premiered on Discovery Channel, introducing the world to Diesel Dave, Heavy D, and their crew. The show ran for 6 seasons and became an instant hit. Viewers loved its authenticity, real builds, real mess, and real camaraderie. It wasn't polished Hollywood glamour, it was grease, laughter, and adrenaline. Every episode had a rhythm, heart-stopping custom builds, daring stunts, the occasional disaster, like that unforgettable truck fire, and the thrill of their massive giveaways. What made the show shine was the chemistry between the team. They weren't acting, they were simply being themselves. The banter, the jokes, the teamwork under pressure, it all felt genuine. The humor flowed effortlessly, and the brotherhood was real. Diesel Dave quickly became a fan favorite. His natural charisma, humor, and people skills made him the heart of the show, while Heavy D served as the strategic mind behind their operations. Together, they balanced personality with precision, one building the brand's image, the other steering its direction. Through their work, they built more than just trucks. They built a culture. Fans didn't just watch them, they believed in them. The Diesel brothers symbolized the pursuit of passion, hard work, and friendship. Proof that even from a small shop in Utah, you could create something extraordinary. But as with every rise to fame, the spotlight eventually began to reveal cracks beneath the surface. Their empire, once defined by horsepower and brotherhood, would soon be tested in ways they never imagined. Yet in those golden years, before the storm hit, the Diesel brothers were living every dream they'd once drained a gas tank talking about and inspiring millions to chase their own. Sometimes we chase our dreams with the purest of intentions, never realizing that the path we take might clash with the laws that govern it. That's exactly what happened with Diesel Dave, a man who won millions of hearts with his humor, warmth, and family-centered charm. Yet the very fame that built his empire also became the stage for 2 of the most exhausting and defining lawsuits of his life. Through every twist and turn, he showed resilience, reminding us that even when the road gets rough, strength is found in standing tall. I hope his story has inspired you to face your own challenges with the same determination. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring stories.